I forgot about that. I forgot about that shit. We're live again. Fucking yeah, that's totally possible. You know, because they can do the way they do music like that. They can run what do you call that?
Audio clips. They have bots that scan.
Algorithms and shit like that that catch words and shit like that that are just constantly running in the background and shit like that.
The algorithm was listening for Soros and billionaires. It will know if they block us down again. Shit, that was maybe some too coincidental timing.
Yeah, that was a little weird. It's happened multiple weird. There's been a lot of weird things that's happened here on Zoom.
Sorry to interrupt, Beagle, but when you went back live, is that like a new thing on YouTube? Will they have to like?
Yeah, everybody.
Yeah, there's a new one.
And go find the.
Tell everybody to go to the Eagle Gardens homepage if you're still in that chat. I just got it figured out myself over here.
Oh, it's still live over there still for a few minutes? Sometimes.
No, everybody's still sitting in chat in the other room. So
where'd they go?
They got to find the new one. Yeah, I told them we'll be right back, but I left the room, so I can't get back into the chat.
Oh, I'll go over there and see.
Smiley still got it. Yeah.
Oh no, it dropped it now.
Yeah.
I think I got it on mine. I may be able to.
I think I'll figure it out.
Yeah, maybe.
We're got it.
Yeah, I still got live chat.
We're up to 10 already. We got it.
We got 10, 11 now. Sergeant Pepper made it. Miss Dz Nugz made it. Mr. Greenpots is back.
Oh, yeah.
All right, we're getting a crew. 15, we're moving. Aldrich,
That's so
25.
funny, man. The damn algorithms took you down, Eagle. They didn't want you releasing that knowledge.
Yeah, that's exactly
that was conspiracy talk, man. You went off on the conspiracies the other day.
Oh man, that was a deep rabbit hole last night. Holy shit.
Putting targets on
it. Well, welcome back, everybody.
I just felt like it's not even a conspiracy. Like Soros is actually putting money into cannabis, and so are other billionaires. Like the guy, one of the founders of Facebook, the Parker guy, Sean Parker. He also did Napster. He put a few $1 million into Prop 64, and I think that could have just been genuine. Like he wants cannabis to be legalized, but like Soros doing it across several different states makes me wonder. Because when you see these legalizations and the only people that can really get in and get licensed and permit and benefit from the legalization is the extremely rich. So it's like, it would make sense if a billionaire is funding all this stuff, if it's just going to benefit him and his homies that are kind of in the loop already.
I heard Prop 64 was a lot of bait switch when it came to the small growers, especially Northern Cal. They've been doing it their whole lives. Big guys coming in. I heard it was just, really wasn't geared in the end for any of the small guys. That's why Pat King is just such a godsend to those people. A great guy, the integrity that he holds with those relationships that he's built over his lifetime means a lot.
It's definitely harder for the small farmer out here than it's ever been before. Prop 215 was very vague and loose, so you could basically do almost whatever you wanted. And I think it needed some more regulation. Like I think that the testing was a good thing, like allowing patients to have access to making sure that there's no heavy metals or pesticides and things like that sprayed on their cannabis. I think that should be universal. People should have access to like safe, clean cannabis. And that's one of the things that legalization should definitely be pushing. But at the same time, with all the restrictions, like you were talking about with California and Prop 64, like they tax the bud before it's sold, which it's like, that doesn't happen in like any other industry. And Wonder Brett, one of the LA farmers, was talking about how per ounce alcohol is only taxed like 30 or like 50 cents an ounce. Where out here it's like $20, $30 per ounce. And then you're taxing it again out the door, the local taxes. here in San Diego are 32%. So if you spend $100 out the door, it's $132. So, I mean, that's pretty steep. And to be honest, the quality of the stuff in the dispensaries out here is just very subpar. Unfortunately, the price, 50 to 85 bucks an eighth for absolutely subpar flower 95% of the time.
Yeah, we were joking the other night on Stone Ninja, you know, the dojo seeds used to be with ocean grown, and no such thing as a cure out in those stores. No such thing. They're just pumping it out and getting it in. That's what he's been saying, and other people out in Cali say. No such thing as a cure in those stores. Most of the time. Listen, I know it's just a general swath, but on average, that's what they were saying.
They machine trim it, and then they throw it on those mesh racks and dry it as fast as they can. Dehumidified rooms, get it in a jar, get it on the shelf as quick as they fucking can, man. It's a absolutely rushed process, and they lose so much flavor and value in their crop in those last 2 weeks, when a lot of them actually grow the bud pretty damn well. You see their pictures and it looks great. And then they just fucking put it through that same machine trimmer that's trimmed the last same or 40 different crops. So there's all sorts of terps and volatile organic shit kicking around on there. They hardly ever clean those things, and all the buds end up looking exactly the same, perfectly round, with no character at all. Like every single strain from these big commercial producers looks the same. It's quite the shame, because people think, oh, then that variety is not that good. It's like, no, that commercial producer just didn't do it any justice.
Yeah, and you look at all the problems that the big guys are having out there too. You know, they were talking about it on Future Cannabis Project the other day. Not only the pest problems with the aphids out there now, but basically, drink up anything that you throw at them. They're so big that they're never going to get control of it. And, a lot of the guys that are growing in some of these big places, they've taken what they've done at a small scale and just, gotten the money, guys with deep pockets, and they give them an opportunity to do that. And all they care about is the return. These guys can't do it. They're in too big of a place, too many problems. And, it doesn't transform over to a big, what you can do in a 15 by 15 room. Nothing compared to what you're going to be doing in some of these, tens of thousands of square foot rooms and greenhouses. Not the same, not even close. Problems aren't even at the scale they're at. It's just, and you're hoping that they're not going to be throwing Avid or, Michael Blutenau, excuse me, I get tongue tied because I'm stoned. Michael Blutenau, equal 20 basically. And who knows what the hell they're going to be throwing on this stuff. You know what I mean? And they're just going to run it and process it, It's why I don't smoke anybody. I'm not saying that they're doing that. Just, these are just some of the examples they were throwing out, If it's the biggest one now, But, I don't smoke anybody else's stuff, but stuff that I've grown, or I know the grower personally, and I know his garden personally. Because I don't trust anybody to throw anything. I don't care what it is on that shit. And I'm talking about in flour. I've never sprayed in flour. I don't spray in flour. None of that shit. I mean, they're lucky to get something here every once in a great while. Worst thing I ever have is a couple of leaf hoppers. That's nothing. Half the time I don't even treat them. I just take off the leaves that they're on, and that's it. I have no infestation.
So here's a twist on some of these rules, though. When it goes federally legal, do you think that commercial indoor is still even going to be a competitive way to go?
No, the trends there's a few projections. I know right now that Chile is one of the biggest outdoor producers. They're going to go for sun grown because they're not going to want to spend the electricity. It's just not going to be economically viable for them to do it indoors at all. And the demand is going to be so great. Now we're talking 20, 30 years down the line. It's going to be so great that they're going to utilize places that are closer to the equator because they're going to get longer light cycles. And they're going to be able to manipulate that naturally with less man-made energy. And that's really where it's going to go in the future. That's what the projections are anyway. This isn't me, in my opinion. I'm just letting that's like they're saying even 35 cents a gram by 2035, some of the projections. You know what I mean? I always give the example like Kevin Godry does when he went to that place in Belgium to make a 2 million square foot greenhouse, and then down below they're just extracting the terps, and then they're man-making terps because, you know, people that the masses are going to want convenience. They're going to want like a cigarette. They're going to want their flavor. They're going to want to go in and get it. They want it to be consistently the same flavor every time and the same effect every time. And, you know, he thinks that's, you know, that's where the boutique grower comes in. And there is a niche for that. Because it's just like wines. You know, he always compares it to the wine market because it is. It's going to be the same thing. And have your guys that are, and of course it's going to be branding, a lot of marketing. In this country, it's all about marketing, branding, getting a name, having a story, you know, and, you know, so, but, you know, those are the trends anyway. Outdoors is going to be where it's at. You're going to utilize the sun.
So Eagle, you got a question in chat about your veg time, and if you ever pop seedlings or take, do you always pop seedlings or if you take clones?
Thank you for bringing me into that because I was chicken pecking that on my phone, and it is so much easier to say that shit. I do both. I don't have no preference, and I'm constantly popping seeds. If I'm popping seeds, I prefer my veg time to be right around 60 days before I flip. I think that's pretty standard, and I think when I'm running clones, it's anywhere from a month to 40 days veg time for me. Usually closer to 40 days because I like to stay on the bigger, less plant side than I do running more plants in a smaller space. I prefer to run 4 to a 4x4 space than, you know, 6 in a 4x4. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have that a bigger plant in a longer veg time, less plants in the end. So that's my answer.
Hey,
Just
Eagle.
talked it with dead air. Yes, sir.
And what lights are you vegging under?
I veg under T5 LEDs. I used to use just straight up T5s, but I've always liked to veg under the LEDs. And I have lots of LEDs laying around. And once I found out I could cheaply fire up my 8-bank LEDs and fire up some more veg space because I'm always any new space is grow space in my eyes. You know, I move something out of the fucking room, I'm like, another tent right there, veg space. And that's what happened. Some space became available, and I had I was vegging under just straight up. You can probably see like this type of light right there. I was vegging under like a light like that in small spaces, 3 of those. And then now I brought out the T5s, and they actually had T5 bulbs in them. And then I found out as the bulbs were burning out, and I was seeking to put power veg bulbs in there, I found out I like LED veg, and I could replace all those bulbs for $10 a piece with LED replacements at Home Depot. So I swapped them all of them over. So I got 4 of those units that I swapped over to the T5 LED bulbs, and that's what I veg under. The small, they go from over here. I got a clone area and like a solo cup area right here where I'm pointing to, and then right next to me is a step up is where they sit in the 3 gallons right here, 1 and 3 gallons. And then if I get too backed up, if you can kind of see that back in the corner there's that T5 hanging. They'll hang out there for a minute or two and veg as an overflow space, in which sometimes happens. They may hang out in that like staging area right there for a minute or two if I get too jammed up, and then they just start working their way Oh, all around the room there. That's what I like. I said, when I set up my workspace, I do the same thing. It's all around me and everything. I get the center, and that's the way my grow's set up. You know, I'm surrounded by fucking grow. It just kind of it works all around me to a finished light state. But them are the lights I use. LED T5s. I kind of ventured way the fuck off there. All right. See what happens when you give me the mic. Rabbit hole. Squirrel. Squirrel, as Kay says.
That's funny. The T5s do put out a good light source though for veg. I think to a certain size, they don't do what I don't know. As Charlie's got them behind him.
My buddy's got. I was just at his house and he had like 3 and 4 foot tall like veg plants in his shower under like a 4 bulb T5 fixture, and it worked. And we just topped the plant down about halfway, and we're gonna train it out and get it a little closer to the plants now. But he was just trying to get them old enough to sex some regular seeds, and they work great. The plants are super healthy and basically grow right up into it without burning, as long as it's not touching the bulb.
Well, I'm thinking about running the. I got 2 more T5s over here that are LEDs, and they're a better system, a more expensive bulb. I want to say Active Grow LED. Shit, I looked them up the other day. I think they were like fucking $35-$40 per bulb, to be honest with you. And
it's worth it, in my opinion.
I've got 2 8-bank units over there that I have done test runs under, flower, complete runs, veg through flower. And I'm going to do it again just for this reason. I had talked about it earlier, doing this, but I'm going to do it again just for this reason. Kind of because we talked about the Emerson effect, pulling back them reds later in flower, because the reds could be damaging the terps and the trichomes late in flower. So what I'm thinking about doing with these T5s is kind of growing similar plants like I did this last round, kind of tall, some slanky growth in the bottom there. And what the point I think I'm going to do with these T5s is I'm going to run a double harvest. I think I'm going to run them with the reds on and take all those tops. And then while that stuff's drying and curing up, I think I'm going to shut the reds off and drop them down to that gangly growth on the bottom and kind of let them finish up, you know what I'm saying, without the reds, and see what kind of difference in terp, see if any terp difference is with the reds off. What do you think about that, Jay?
Personally, I just don't think it'd be a true enough experiment to be warranting your time. Like if you're gonna,
why not? Like, because they're tops. I thought it'd be a good experiment because they would all be the same plant, kind of the same variable. The only difference would be a later flower without the reds, like a second harvest without the reds of the same plant.
So harvesting the tops of the plant undergoes a large stress response in your plant. You're chopping off a significant portion of, like we were talking about earlier, like the sexual reproductive organs of the plant that are more important than like removing a leaf. So if you're removing like the whole top layer of colas, essentially, you've got those bottom ones, they're going to undergo a stress and they'll start growing again and finish flower a little bit heavier. But I think that alone is enough that would, even if you didn't change any light cycle, that could change the terp profile. And also just like the lower part of the plant, I'm not sure how confident I am it produces exactly the same as the top of the plant when given a different amount of light. It's a different age plant, essentially. So like that top of the plant was harvested at day 60, where the bottom of the plant's harvested at day 75. And I think despite like it being a little larvae and like wanting to get more out of it, that could also have complications in the change of terpene profiles and cannabinoids and flavonoids and other minor things like that.
So the only way to really test the theory is to just run the same thing, same girls, but the change the red as the only variable would be the only way, good way to test it.
Well, do you have more than one T5 bank of LEDs?
Yeah. Yeah, I've got
So like
tons of them.
in your like dry tent or whatever, you could do like put a piece of wood down the center or cardboard or something, and do like one side where you have a clone that you're familiar with already, like the Pine Valleys or something. And then the other side, you also do the Pine Valleys, same mother plant. You get two clones of relatively the same size. And then you have one that you give reds all the way through the harvest. And then you have one where you drop the reds out those last 2 weeks and see if dropping the reds out actually does anything. So when I listened to Lost Leafs thing, like as interesting and compelling as the story was, to me, it seemed more like he just had a good run that one time that like lined up with everything else. It like the reds at the end may have had some sort of effect. I just don't think that it was a controlled enough scenario to like think, oh, well, reds at the end are terrible, because I've seen people run reds all the way through the end and have tons of success and super high terpene flower from bulbs like HPS or even certain LEDs modern times.
Oh, me too. And I agree that he needs to run more tests to gain better and better data. He never really did say if that was a one run and done data.
He talked about the differences between the two runs and what made it significant to him. And when I heard it, I was like, that's interesting. But for me, from the outside looking in, I don't have the sort of like, I'm not trying to say this in a mean way, but in science, there's bias. And if you're the one conducting the experiment, you have more bias than somebody who's outside just looking at the variables and evaluating them for what they are. So he talked about a few different grows where like he ended up trying to change the reds at the end because he thought that was what it was. But then something like went terrible with his grow where it was like way colder and he couldn't get the temperatures as high to keep the VPD up. So even when he tried the red without the red at the end of the run, he like didn't have as good of a run as he did when he initially tried it. So it's like sometimes you just get like the perfect set of circumstances that all line up to make you have something. And it might be compelling to like make you think like, oh, that's for sure the factor. And then you can try and replicate it and it might not replicate. But then there are those cases where it does. I think blues at the end definitely bring on terpenes, like 100%. I think the 440 nanometer blue specifically, I have that in my light that I DIY'd, and I could see the spot in the room when I run three of the same cultivar. The one that's under the blue, it gets more purple and it has more terpene production. It just smells stronger. It has more flavor versus like the edges of the room that are, I have a relatively like low quality, but accurate enough like par or lux meter that you can convert to PPFD. So I have an idea that like relatively the plants are getting all the same soil. They're getting the same amount of light, same amount of wind. They're all in the same tent. But the one that's under that blue light, and I also have 3500K white light, but just that little peak burst of blue brings out lots more purple and flavor in the plants underneath it.
I totally agree, and since Eagle put this mute on.
I was gonna say, goddamn, boom! I want some of them tranquilizers shot over there, motherfucker. What are you laying down on milligrams on these bitches?
Everybody's like, I want to buy
I
it.
have seen you eat a lot of shit, brother. I have never seen you like as low speed as you are right now.
I've probably had about 8 of them. So if they were 30 at 8, I don't even know. I'm not gonna math right now. A lot.
So I was cracking me up. They're like, I want to buy the edibles just based on the look off in Boom's face.
That would be a good
They
commercial
definitely
right
work.
there and shit. Holy shit, brother.
People are
Maybe
saying,
it's-
"Oh, falling asleep." I'm like, I'm not falling asleep. I'm looking right at chat.
Well, you sat back
Eagle.
there the second you kind of went back, and I thought, there he goes. They got him.
So
What's
our boy
up, Jack?
Sergeant Pepper 420 is in the chat, and he's talking about the 660 and 730 nanometer red, which he's talking about the Emerson effect. I just want to clarify what the Emerson effect is for people to make it real simple. When you have 660 nanometer red with a grow light, say it's 3000 or 3500K, which is like a white grow light. If you supplement it with 660, this red wavelength that's in the PAR spectrum, which is 400 to 700, that 660 will boost your photosynthesis by like +7. We'll give it a number, make it simple. Okay, and that's on its own. It gets like a +7 for photosynthesis. Well, if you use 730 nanometer red, it gets like a +3, right? And that's by itself with the white light. Well, if you combine those two, you might think 7 + 3 = 10, right? That's what most people would think. Well, when you use
Change
the
spectrum though, right? And it kind of lowers the number.
so they play with each other. One is triggering like a phytochrome, and like there's photosystems 1 and 2. So the 730 is actually triggering a different part. But essentially, Emerson's the guy who figured out that it's not 7 + 3. It's really like 7 + 5. When they work together, they're better than the sum of either one on their own, plus white or plus any other light. So like if you have a normal white grow light, like a cob, a 3500 Kelvin, and you supplement it with 660 red, that's going to boost your growth. But if you boost it with 660 and 730, it'll boost your growth way more than if you do either just one or the other. Like the combination of both, instead of being like that 7 + 3, like I said earlier, it's like basically like a 7 + 3 =, instead of 10, you're getting like a +12 or +13 or 14 boost from the combination of those two effects.
Now, when you, I said spectrum there, but I don't know. Maybe it's just the way I'm following along here. Is you're putting numbers on these nanometers there, and you say the math don't add up. And in my mind, this is how I kind of vision that. I kind of see like a strong one color, and a strong like a red, blue, and you're putting numbers on them. A 10 and a 7, and you're saying basically they don't add up to a 17 in output. Is that basically because when they cross each other, they lose a little bit of math there in the middle because they've created a different color, a little bit of different spectrum there? It kind of has created overall a different math. Is that
So no, they're
what's
gaining.
fogging up the numbers there a little bit?
Instead of a red and a blue, it's a red and a red. And the two together are more powerful than them separately. So instead of 10 + 7 = 17, 10 + 7 will equal 20. The two together essentially are stronger. The 10 makes the 7 instead of the 7 become a 10 itself.
Basically, what you're telling me, adding more or a deeper red to the blue actually makes the blue more red.
So blue is not involved with the Emerson effect at all. Forget about blue 100%. We're talking about two spectrums of red. 660.
I'm just trying to do the math.
Far red.
I'm just fuck the colors. Fuck the colors here.
It matters.
I'm trying to do math.
Colors matter a lot here because
I'm trying to do math here, buddy. Fuck the spectrum. I'm just trying to figure out the math.
660 is far red, which is in the par range, but then deep red is 700 plus. So it could be 705, 720, 730. Different companies use different ones. So like FGI Lighting uses 720 nanometer for their red and their Emerson effect. And Rapid LED uses 730. But anywhere between 701 and 799 is that far red. You want a little bit less of that type of red and more of the one that's in the par spectrum, which is 400 to 700 range. That red is the 660 is the most commonly used by like Osram and Samsung diodes. I probably overly complicated everything, but just think like two reds together is stronger than either one red on its own.
I can believe you. I believe you. I'm not a light scientist, so I can't debate it either way.
Well, and
I'm trying to learn, and I trust you, Jack. So I'm just.
But the other thing is, if you get the wrong ratio, like if you get too much of the 700 to 800 range, like that deep red versus the far red, you got to have the right ratio. You want more of the one in the par range. So like of my watts in those light ranges, I have 20 at 660, 20 watts at 660, and only 7 watts at this 730. So you want to have them in like the one in the par range is a little bit more important to have than the one that's outside the par range. For a long time, they didn't even think that the 730 would activate any type of photosynthesis at all, because they thought the only light that was contributing was 400 to 700. Well, now they're finding out UV actually has effects and far red has effects. And this is that example where far red, not only does it do that, it affects the shape of the plant, where if it's in the shade, it gets more far red, so then it has a stretch response. So plants that grow underneath the tree, you'll see will start to stretch a lot more than a plant in direct sunlight.
Also, if you're having trouble in your grow with your plant stretching and you're running that far red, cut that far red off for the first 3 weeks and it'll help keep them a little shorter for you.
Totally agree. And you can also supplement blue, which is the opposite effect. Blue creates cell contraction. So the plant actually ends up being shorter, squattier, tighter internode spacing. And some people would run that metal halide for the first few weeks of flower to prevent the stretch from getting too out of control. And then they'd switch over to the HPS once the stretch had stopped, because that red helps really bulk it on. And that was a strategy that I'd seen some people use, and also even like do mixed spectrum of some HPS and some metal halide, and people claim that produced a lot better terps. So some old school stuff, but I remember those good old days.
Just because you like messing with me so much, I like messing with you, Jake. You're a lot of fun, brother.
Hey, it's all good, man. It's an intellectual discussion. I'm always for every single side. And I like to, this stuff, it took me like 17 times to figure out, like when some green gene or grow mouse would say like, oh, this light is 2.1 ppfd per watt or micromules per joule. I heard that so many times before I actually Googled it and looked it up and figured out what the fuck it meant. And I was like, okay, it seems like the higher number is better, right? Like it's almost like miles per gallon on a car is like how I was thinking about it. It's like, oh, well, these LEDs seem to be a little bit more efficient. So I'm going to try one of these more efficient lights if they actually are. And for a while, it was just tough because there's a lot of dishonest like LED companies that were publishing maybe higher than normal numbers, or they'd like test the light an inch away from the sensor and say, look at how strong its reading is. So people would think that it's really intense and it would flower really well, but in reality, it doesn't cover much space at all, and draws way less wattage than they advertise.
These guys are just like lost. Smiley, have you been eating Boom's edibles?
No, not at all. Not at all. It's just the whole, yeah, I don't know. Jack had that discussion covered, so
I'm gonna shout out everybody and say bong rip because I just took one. I'm gonna take another one.
I just feel like we're all just like, Jack stops talking, we're all like, see?
Well, we're trying to digest everything the dude just said. That's what it is. It's all trying to compute in the brain, like, oh, wait a minute.
Well, I'm sure you guys have heard some of that shit before, and I don't know if it makes sense to all of you. Like, have you heard people say like ppfd per watt when they're talking about grow lights and things like that, or micromules per joule and things like that?
Oh yeah.
I heard lots of that shit, and I had no idea what it meant for a long time. So I felt like alienated me a little bit as a viewer. So I like took the time to like go and Google it, and even then I was like a little bit lost. But after, I don't know, it was like 6, 7, 8, I don't know how many times I fucking heard it. It finally clicked. And also seeing like my buddy crush it with an LED, send me a sample and like smoke the sample. I was like, oh, that's really good shit. And then, you know, buying one myself and having the opportunity to grow with a good modern LED, where like a lot of people had the experience back in the day with some of the early blurples that weren't as good as maybe their high pressure sodiums or HID bulbs. But now I think it's pretty definitive. If you can afford the modern LEDs, or if you can DIY one, they're pretty impressive. So I'll put it out there because there's still a lot of people that are pushing the rumor that LEDs can't flower or LEDs won't produce good quality bud. But I think Sergeant Pepper in the chat, he talked about how his mini split is working way less hard. He's getting better yields with frostier bud and more flavor with his
I just
LEDs.
want to say this. No more talk about Sergeant Pepper. He skipped class today. He had the numbers. They're in his fucking chat. He could be here talking this shit, but no, he's in fucking chat.
You seem a little offended, Ego.
No.
Not at all.
I'm just fucking with you, Sergeant Pepper. As you guys can see, a little bit as the days go on, I'm kind of fucking feeling a little bit more at home in front of the camera. I'm playing around a little bit more.
It's funny, Eagle, because when I moved out to California, I'm from Ohio, where like when you love someone, you kind of bust their balls even more. And like the better you get to know somebody, like the more shit you give them. And like that's how you can like tell who my best friends are. Is like the people that I give the most shit sometimes. And like when I moved out here, people weren't really used to that, so I came off as like kind of harsh with some of my buddies. So I'd be like busting their balls. They weren't used to it. It's like a lot softer out here, at least in my experience.
Oh no, I love you guys, man. All these gut shots you've been giving me lately have made up for them sit-ups I haven't been able to do lately. Just hardening that bitch.
Did you move the camera, Eagle? It looks like you got some HPS behind you now, and sometimes it looks like you got like the heavy bag. Are you in a different spot of the basement?
Yeah, and it's no, actually, I'm not in the basement because I actually was talking about this. I got 12-foot ceilings here. I'm not utilizing. No, the heavy bag's over there. I just spun around. I think I'm gonna start because this is now empty. I think I'm gonna. It's ready to be cleaned out, and I think I'm gonna make that the shot from now on. I'm just gonna, have document that new grow right there behind me every day. That's kind of
so who's going to be going in there of the stuff you're popping? What's going to make it to that tent? What do you think?
Beautiful Loser and Dominatrix. Well, Beautiful Loser will probably be a 4 and a quad back here, and then I'll probably put 2 Dominatrix and 2 Primal Punch F2s in the other corner there for the 2 quads.
It's a good lineup, Eagle.
What about you, Charlie? I know you've always kind of trying to keep up with some of the hot flavors to keep those college kids happy.
Yeah, right. That's funny you say that because they're all gone though. I have a good base. I gotta tier 2, but that's completely different. I can't talk too much about that, but it's the places that I do have going. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about cracking one of the 5-packs of the last that Subby gave me here, the Banana Jack OG right here. It's one of the few I have with the dank on it too. I used to always get the TGA on there.
Joel was just on yesterday bragging about that Banana Jack.
Yeah. So I'm on that, and then I was thinking that I got kind of a one that's been around for a minute, but I got an archived Do number 22 F2. Let's see what can we get out of this for flavor. No question. I mean, I got so much ocean grown gear, but I'm good with ocean grown for a few, just and it's some of their older stuff. And when they were transitioning, a couple of years ago, a lot of stuff was coming out the same, same profile somewhat. I wasn't too happy. I got some Redline. You guys know Redline Genetics? And that's not bad mouthing them. They have some great stuff. I'm not bad mouthing anybody, by the way. I don't do that. No way. I've gotten some great stuff off Ocean Grown. I actually run the Highlander still. I got a Highlander cut that's just freaking killer, man. Heavy ghost meaning, And I love the sativa, so that ghost in that is primo.
What's the Highlander like flavor-wise over there, Charlie?
Real gassy. Really gassy. Has a lot of just hits you with a lot of woods, a lot of earth, and just gas. It's got a little bit of a, I don't want to call it skunk, but just that musk. I'm not the best at describing, but this is what I hear back from patients. And my brother, who, this place and whatever, he takes most of it with this one other gentleman, but and then that's where it gets to Berkeley, MIT, Harvard, that's Emerson, BU, BC. I mean, the list goes on that he deals with. The school crackdown is kind of a, everyone went home. They were stuck here for a month and it immediately doubled, and just can't keep up with the demand.
Wow. So, hey, you actually did a killer job describing the smell and the flavor on that. And I just wanted to say, I don't know if his audio is going yet, but shout out to Sergeant Pepper. It looks like we just got him in the Zoom call.
Oh, nice.
Yes, guys, I'm Ben.
Hey, man. Welcome. Hey, thanks to everybody in chat. I can't see chat, and I know there's, all the regulars, for sure, August, UK Shift, everybody else, and Sergeant, man. I love talking to you guys in chat. I love it. You know, you guys are some of the, you just connected, and you're smart, and there's always takeaways.
Aldridge 25, we were Eagle was worrying about you. He thought he scared you off earlier in this particular session, but I just saw you in chat when I clicked over. So Eagle, you don't got to worry. Aldridge is back with us.
Yeah,
good to see them again.
Just real quick, Chris Murphy.
Fuck Aldridge, I almost broke my back, man. I fucking heard Jack's Greenstock fucking call your name, and I fucking jumped 3 steps to fucking get back here to get to the mic. I'll tweak my fucking back. Welcome back. I did think I fucking your job. Holy shit. Oh god, I ain't shitting you, man. I fucking slipped on a little cord. I was like, holy shit, fuck. Oh, there I am. I didn't even have my camera on yet. Oh,
No,
yeah,
I'm back. Not on YouTube because your camera's off.
Good looking out, Jack.
I know how much you love the chat and the community, and you're really responsible for building it. You shout them out, and when people hear their names, it makes them want to come back and feel welcome, and you answer the questions, and you make sure you get panelists and guests that they enjoy listening to. So I think you're doing a good thing. You go, and just the fact that you can fucking do this every single night, the perseverance of that's what's got me coming back. I mean, there's some shows that are once a week. I listen to so much content, I'm plowing through everything. Like, this is the one show that's hard for me to keep up with. It's like everything else, like once a week's easy, or twice a week, easy. But 5-hour episodes a night, man, this is great.
You know, I actually caught some shit about that from somebody today. They were like, well, you had to start the show, and then it had to be every day, but did you have to fucking really start doing them 5 hours a day? You know, I was like, I never intended to start being 5 hours a day. They just worked out that fucking way.
Sorry, we're dropping so much knowledge on y'all. Don't mind us.
And I think it's great that you roll with the punches, and you know what I mean? You just let it go and be what it is. You're not trying to make it something anyway, you know?
Well, I mean, if anybody forgets, what's the name of the show? We're talking shit with Eagle. It doesn't have to be a certain criteria. The whole beauty of this show is it's all like Eagle's, yes, the host, but he also moves around the community, and there's all different kinds of subjects and topics. You don't have to stick on just one, and you kind of just roll with the punches. That's how the shit turns into 5 hours.
Well, let's look at it this way, guys. If we logged on here every fucking night and talked 5 hours about nothing but straight up serious cannabis, I think we'd burn each other out in fucking no time. I think the key is keeping it mixed up, like you said, a little bit of this, a little bit of that, everybody's fucking life in general. You know, it makes it more friendly and more of a fun time. Because if we sat here and just, busted out our notes night after night, I was like, yes, I think it would get boring for everybody. But, veering off into a rabbit hole every so often or whatever kind of does make it a little bit more fun.
I think it's like the power of the session Smiley's alluded to before. It's like some nights, I don't know about you guys, but like back when we were younger, before the internet and everyone had phones that could record us so beautifully and stream us live to the internet, we would just have these conversations by ourselves with our friends and like share a joint and giggle and laugh and tell some crazy ass stories and like have a good time. And it was gone forever. You never had that experience ever again. You'd like kind of vaguely remember it. You'd have some memories of it. Some people would have a better memory than the other, but like to be able to go back and watch this and like to have other people that can watch this and actually extract like scientific information at certain points and like have a laugh during a time where they're being constantly bombarded with stuff that's not making them laugh or smile or feel good. Like to be here and just like hang out and feel like you're smoking with your friends. And at this point, like shit, if I met any of you, we'd be instantly friends when we're in person. We're going to smoke down. We're going to have a good time. We already have so many similar interests and we've already shared so many conversations. I keep in touch with some of you guys more than most of my family. So that's just the honest goodness truth. And it's because we're all here because we're all so passionate about the plant. Our families aren't this passionate about the plant. They're not going to be in these chats. Or some people like Eagles are. Shit, Eagles' daughters tune in, man. And I think it's probably tightened Eagle's relationships with his daughters who are a little bit
It has
older
tightened
and
my
can.
relationship with Lexus, Jack. It has.
And I love that, man. Talk about unintended benefit of the show. Like, we would have never thought, oh, I'm going to spend 5 hours sitting in front of the computer and it's going to make me closer with my daughter. But she's become part of the community, and I look forward to seeing her in the chat, saying hello to everybody and greeting and sort of kind of playing, the bouncer in the chat. She'll let you know if any shit's going down, and
You notice she doesn't have a wrench. You notice she doesn't have a wrench. Because I'm afraid to give that girl a little power. She'd be timing us all out and shit.
She's just the siren. She can sound the alarm if something needs to go down. She'll call in one of the wrenches.
Oh yeah, I love that girl, and I'm glad you pointed that out because it has brought us closer. It was something that needed to be done, and it was, like you said, it was a super cool side effect of this whole thing. Because it brought us a lot closer, and it gives us something to bond about. She talks about these guys all the time. She talks about the show soon, like in the morning. As soon as she gets up, she comments on the guests and what happened. She talks about at first because what it was. I never let the kids in. You know what I mean? Yeah, my kids don't follow me on Instagram. My family don't follow me on Instagram. I'm like fucking security issue. You know what I mean? You can backtrack that shit if you're keen enough. You know what I'm saying? And by a couple comments here and there, backtrack their friends. Well, good look. I don't want to I don't want to give the map away and shit, but it can be done. So I was like, nobody followed me. No nieces, no nephews, no nothing. Follow me on that shit. And so when she started following along in chat, she was like, well, can I follow them along? Can I create an Instagram to follow them along? I'm like, that's what everybody else does. Go ahead if you want to make an Instagram and follow these guys. And I'm sure she's probably followed a lot of you guys already. Smiley, she somehow keeps fucking up with Smiley. I don't know how she does it, but she keeps like accidentally like tapping the follow and unfollow button. So she was like, I just unfollowed him. And I don't know whether or not I should follow him or not, because now it's just starting to get weird because I followed him and unfollowed him so many times. Then
I don't even see it. That's what's funny about it.
She'll come out. She'll be like, I sent him a message. I didn't mean to unfollow him. But I'm glad you pointed that out, Jack. Just took me down a rabbit hole. But thanks.
And that's what the show's all about. It's like therapeutic in that way. I think all of us getting to talk, both just to like, we're thinking about it, so talking about it makes it so we don't blurt it out in general public day-to-day life before all the craziness went down. Like, you're not talking to your buddy at work that might snitch on you and get you fired or something. Not that we're in those circumstances anymore, but it's just like, maybe you're not gabbing your wife's ear off if she doesn't want to hear about it, or somebody that whoever's around you most available. Like the people that are here, they want to hear about this type of stuff, or else they would just log out. They're more than happy to be here and chat with us.
I'm not even gonna lie. After fucking last night's rant, I'm not kidding anybody on this panel or anybody in chat. I smoke an incredible amount of weed. So I get a little bit of spacey and fucking, silly at points and a little bit of forgetful. Get a little hazy towards the end of the nights. You know what I'm saying? Some long days. We talked about that 4 hours sleep. Sometimes that shit can get a little foggy or whatnot. But I woke up this morning and realized the rant I fucking left last night on the end of the show. And I thought, holy fuck, I shit you not. I woke up just like this. I went, oh, fuck. Should I delete that shit? I wonder how many people have fucking seen that rant. I wonder how many people I fucking scared off from the show, from that crazy rant towards the end of the show. But thank God everybody came back. Everybody came back tonight.
I was gonna say it's almost 4. Well, it's 4:12 right now. So
holy
y'all got something to get ready to smoke on or whatever. But since we were talking about ocean grown, I got this this Vader's vintage that I just harvested and nice little PR ready to go. So cheers to that. It's good shit.
I just packed up a bong bowl of capital G from Duke Diamond of Dominion Seed Company. My buddy grew it, and it's about 1 year into the cure. So this is my nighty night. It's my 120 bowl out here on the West Coast.
You guys in your
I would love to go some of the Duke Diamond stuff. I would love to. He's got some beauty. He's trying to get that skunk back in there. And then they bred out in the terps with the skunk back in the day, so nobody could smell it when you're growing it indoors. Trying to get it back in. Man,
this stuff, it smells like paint thinner with like berries and musky dirt. It's some dank. It's definitely not skunky, but man, it lights your nose on fire. It stings your, like you wince when you smell it.
I got some Primal Punch. That's what I have. I got a nice half stick of Primal Punch. Cheers, everybody.
Cheers. This this Vader's vintage has a nice because I think it's a Merlot OG that he crossed with his Vader to make that, and it's got just it's not a solid fuel like the Ghost OG I have is, but it's definitely more that earthy, milder, like it's not really a berry, but it's almost kind of leaves like a wine aftertaste, almost like that Merlot. Pretty nice.
That old funky fruit. What about you, Sergeant Pepper? What you smoking on?
Me, I'm actually dabbing on right now some Critical Kush. Actually, it's pretty delicious.
Boom Farms is toking up. I'll shout out my buddy. I was toking on some Wi-Fi Punch, which is Wi-Fi OG with Purple Punch. It's actually pretty good. Gassy berry.
Sounds good.
I got some of my 73 micron bubble hash going. Yeah, this is a Grease Gun by Great White Bud, Sacred Seed Cutco.
That's the bag, man. That's the gold right there. 73 for most stuff. That and the 90, if you even run the 90. I actually do 45 to 159, or the Frenchie Tech, the full spectrum. I mix them, but all hash is good hash as long as it's not super green contaminant in my book.
So Michelle, that doesn't sound like good news. I just extended a fucking invitation out to Duke, and it doesn't sound like he'll be willing to take me up on that invitation. She's saying in chat, Duke Diamond got yanked for riding dirty in Missouri. She said not looking good.
I had not heard that. Damn, that's really unfortunate because he's a hell of a breeder and a great figure in this community. So hopefully let's all send good vibes out there and hope for Duke.
Oh yeah, man.
He is a great dude.
I love listening to that dude. He kicks ass, man. He's cool as shit. Drops a ton of knowledge. I got his Munson. I gotta crack them yet, but
Just goes to show. I mean, the war on cannabis isn't over. Sub got raided. Duke might be popped. Some of our favorite breeders and big figureheads in the community, if they're not safe, we all got to be careful. Even though it's legal in certain states, you got to be making sure that you're staying within your guidelines and don't do anything silly that could get yourself caught up, because that shit can really bring you down in life.
Thanks, Jack. Oh God, I try not to think about that because the subcoolants, according to Miss V, not me, which I sweated that shit because we all know I was a subcool rep. So I sweated that from day one, and I still kind of. Queen Bean says that the investigation's still going on. She said there's 2 charges still pending against her on that shit. So that's done and over with. Shit sucks. Like I said, I was pretty bummed when that all went down. The only thing I could say great about Sub, well, I could say lots of great things about Sub. Um, one of the things I really admired about Sub is he kept outlaw record. As much as he, he did say he paid taxes, and I'm sure he did on a lot of his stuff. But as far as keeping other people's anonymity, if you will, he didn't keep addresses. He kept he kept shitty books like that. As far as I had to constantly remind him what money was between us on any given terms. I had to constantly give him my fucking address. He did keep my phone numbers. We did keep each other's phone numbers all the time. But that was about it. Everything else he tried to emails and shit like that. He always tried to delete. So,
Yeah, you'd always you'd email him, and you get an email back from some different account, Proton Mail or whatever, some random name, giving you all the information you asked about, but with no like email sent to him. Real stealthy. I loved, like you talked about, with whatever he called it, something beads. Whenever he'd send out testers.
Legendary beads.
Still got a couple of those packs I never threw out just because it was like I'd only been in for 2 rounds of it, and unfortunately my time as a tester was fairly short, but it was very much enjoyed.
I'm gonna look up his alias because unlike Sub, I document way too much shit. And I've kept all that shit. All the fucking emails. And now that he's passed, I'm fucking sure glad that I did. But I'm trying to find because I forget. He had so many names. And I used to figure that shit out because you could always tell the email tray. It was Dave. I forget what the last name was. It's in one of these emails I'm trying to bring.
Bowman.
Was it Bowman? I gotta fucking look. I'm so close right here. You could always tell because he would email you questions like under that name, and then you'd be able to follow the send list. You know what I mean? And it always fucking led back to Sub. And I thought every time too, I'm like, does he realize I can see the forward list here? You know what I'm saying? And I always thought that shit was funny, but I never said anything. He used to
He
send
must have
them.
figured it out, because when I got him, it was actually just from one email, and it was like a Dave Bowman or some random name. It was always a different name though.
I'm looking back to the beginning here because right when I started the seeds, he would hit me up through that email and ask me questions, and he'd always to see if I fucking would respond and shit. And then he would fucking get a hold of me later in the day, and he'd be like, "Yeah, I heard through the grapevine you're doing a pretty good job over there answering fucking emails and shit." And I'm like, I know it's you. he's fucking funny, dude.
You rolling one up, Ego?
I'm actually looking through my emails.
Oh, all right.
We just had 420 just went by. I hope everybody's got a toke.
Son of a bitch.
I want to shout out Lady Greenstock. She just made some good use of half of our already been vaped bud we've been storing up. She did a little oil extraction, and then cheeseclothed it out and made me some brownies that I'm probably gonna partake in before I go to bed here, so I get sleep through the night.
Oh yeah. It's halfway through the night already.
It's funny, I've got to work at 8 in the morning, but it's all good.
Oh,
Holy shit. You're running on a pretty
a Mother's
close
Day.
run there. Do you sleep like that all the time, Jack?
Some nights. I definitely have really bad insomnia, and I don't have any cherry pie available right now, so it's like hash or edibles typically, and like some nights I'll just get distracted by fucking hanging out with fucking talking shit with Eagle and crew, and tune in probably a little later. But you know what? For me, like I know within my schedule I can get X amount of hours, and tonight will be the only night this week where I got less than like 6 to 8, which is I think pretty ideal.
Yeah, 6 is good. I agree with 6. I run a lot less. It's more usually 4 to 6. Today I actually got 6. Feeling good about that.
I usually tend to run on 3 to 4 hours, just because a lot of times, because my daughter's too, she wakes up in the middle of the night and then I'll be up with her. But after a while, it catches up with you, that's for sure. And every now and then I have these moments where I just knock the fuck out for like 8, 9 hours straight. And then I wake up like, oh, what happened?
Yeah, your body's like, oh, you needed that. And you feel so fucking refreshed when you wake up. It's like the best 8 hours of sleep you've gotten in the last 5 years.
Yep. Yep. But I feel like if you're a grower, you're automatically going to be up at night. You're automatically going to have insomnia. I feel like I'm always up late at night. I'll have plenty of time to sleep when I'm dead, is what I always say.
It's funny
funny
I've said
'cause
that for years. I'm sorry.
My
Jack.
buddies, no, it's all good. I was going to say a similar thing, but my buddies used to complain, or some of my friends I like was friends with before cannabis. A few of them didn't react similarly to me. Like I always had great experiences. First time I ever used it, I got high. And, a lot of people didn't. But the thing that I found funny was so many of them complained they just smoke, eat, and fall asleep. And then for me, I was smoking and like my mind would just get lit up and I couldn't fall asleep. So I'd like pull up some fucking book, start reading, try and like get a high times or some shit. And I was just always up at night, like learning some random ass facts. So like cannabis sort of started my journey into like seeking knowledge about whatever I was interested at the time, which at a very young age became cannabis and has not since shifted. So here I am.
I love that because I was like 15, and my oldest brother introduced me because he was smoking anyway. But which like he had a good reason. He was like, if anybody's gonna show you, it's gonna be me, you know. But then yeah, ever since then it never stopped.
Oh, man.
So here's a good question. How old was everybody when they first started smoking bud? The first time I ever tried it, I was 12.
I was 13.
I was right around 13, 14, somewhere. So,
Yeah, 14, 15 for me. I started with hash.
That's so
Yeah, I
fucking
was
Canadian.
I know, right?
Right. I was 12 right before I turned 13. Like 2 months before I turned 13.
So I think I might do this. I don't know. Like I said, I'm guilty of keeping tons of shit from sub. I still have other than if it weren't for my S6 getting broke, I probably should still have all the conversations all the way back for a long, long time with Sub. And even though I'm getting rid of this iPhone, I'm going to make sure those messages are backed up as well. We had a lot of great conversations. This is like, this is 10/18, 10/10/18 when I first started kind of talking about doing seeds. He always thought I was stupid for using my real name, and I wanted to know. This is, as you can see, under his the one he always used was one more time, want more time, you know, one more time. The other one was Dave Bowman. You're exactly right. But this is a quick email from Sub, and this is what I always enjoyed about Sub, especially emails, because he always would tack on something insightful at the end. This one was just a quick one. He says, "What name will you use?" So, and then he tacks on the quote from John Lennon: "We live in a world where we have to hide and make love, while violence is practiced in broad daylight." John Lennon. And then he follows it up with a quote from himself. He says, "Love each other and make many friends as you can. Connect with as many souls as possible. Life is short." So, and you know, that was the side of Sub that, when I say most people didn't know Sub and the other side of Sub, you know, he might have talked a lot of shit in front of the camera and told people to fuck off and whatever. But the dude behind the fucking camera had a heart even bigger than what he even portrayed online. And he was a great dude. I do seriously miss that guy.
I think the heart came through a little more than you maybe think or saw, because in some of those super clips and cuts where in memory of him, they showed some clips where, like, one in particular, he talked about, like, when my time comes, like, I hope people remember, they could say about me, like, I gave them a pack of seeds and I taught them how to grow for free. And like, his website did exactly that. He gave you all the information you needed to make a super soil and just give it water and start to finish. Showed you how to trim, showed you everything on his lives, on his Weed Nerd show. And I really think he was definitely rough around the edges and had those times where he was telling people to fuck off. And I think it was partially in character and partially sometimes people do get on people's nerves and he just wants to say fuck off. And it was real and raw, and that's what people respected and loved about him. But he also showed how much he loved people, like Miss Jill. I think he really showed a lot of soft side and character. And even though there was rough times with that, no, he didn't.
He never got out of jail.
I can totally relate. I just got married, and I can only imagine if things ended up the way that they did. And it's not easy on anybody who has to go through that. So I definitely think it humanized both of them in the community's eyes, and unfortunately it polarized people. They took sides, and some people talked a lot of shit, but I think most people rose above it, and they just said, you know, I like both sides, or I'm with him or I'm with her, and we'll go about our lives and enjoy our own shit separately, you know? And I think the community is mature enough to have put it in the past and show love and respect for both parties and try and just, you know, move forward in a positive way, because we could have come together. There's so many fucking people on the outside trying to divide and conquer and make the cannabis space their own just to make money and capitalize on it. It's like, we need to come together and unify, because there's people that are also trying to fight to make it illegal still, and they fight to keep us in prison, and to fight to make us not have the ability to do home growing. So there's a lot of work, and like, the more we argue and look at petty stuff, the less we worry about, like, all right, how do we unify and make the best possible situation for all of us?
All right, that's an awkward silence.
I will say one thing though, real quick, was I'm gonna say was I like both those people, and I just want to throw this out there. I wasn't gonna say it, but fuck it, I'm gonna say it. One of my favorite lines from Pulp Fiction is when John Travolta's at the bar and he's getting a pack of he was next to fuck his name, this guy, Bruce Willis, and he's getting a pack of Big Apples. And he says, "Hey, my name's Paul, and this is between y'all." I fucking live by that motto. I never try to get involved with, especially if I have two friends or two people that I care about and have a difference of opinion. I try not to take sides and try to stay diplomatic because I care about both people. And all I want to say is, I've really felt that way. Like whenever sometimes some drama happens in the community, I really try to stay out of it unless it's like super fam. Then at that point, yeah, you'll pick somebody, but I really try to live by the motto. My name's Paul, this between y'all.
Oh, y'all.
That's a great fucking movie, by the way. If anybody hasn't seen Pulp Fiction, you should do yourself a favor and dedicate the less than 2 hours of your life and go and watch that movie because it's a classic.
There's just so many good lines in that movie, you know? Like, I mean, fuck, when they're sitting there in the car and they're talking about a quarter pounder with cheese and a fucking Royale, I mean, that shit was hilarious. And then if you jump into the scene where they go to shake those guys down, they got that briefcase, which nobody knows what's in it, but everybody thinks it's gold, or at least that's what I think's in that fucking thing. But when the guy says, "Oh, it's because of the metric system," check out the big brain on Brad. That's right, you a smart motherfucker. It's the metric system.
I think that was Samuel L. Jackson at some of his like highest points in his acting. Like especially when they got stuck up at the restaurant and like he was requesting his wallet back. I won't say anymore because like if anybody hasn't seen it, it's probably way too late at this point. But the wallet with badass motherfucker on it, just the delivery and the performance of like so many parts of that movie are great. But we'll get off that topic before we alienate anybody who hasn't seen it or doesn't give a fuck about it.
I'd like to give
Sorry.
a shout out to a couple people here in chat. One's Bill Sid. That's a new name I haven't seen before. Shout out to you. Welcome. Bruce Leaf, obviously a weed nerd. That's a newer name I've seen the last few days. Welcome. But there's one right here that I'm looking at that I'm honored to have in the fucking chat. And that is a long term, and I'll call him a friend because I've spent many, many years. I've never met this gentleman before personally, but I had spent many years in chat with him, and I have seen him a couple times pop into the show, and I'm glad to see him here. Really, honored he's taking time to hang out here. Is St. Bernard's Observation Booth, who's a very old weed nerd from way back. And welcome, brother. Glad to see you here. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate that shit, man. I think Boom knows who I'm talking about. Sounds like looks like Charlie knows who I'm talking about. The old school weed nerds know who he is. That's for sure. The old guys know who he is.
I think he was on either like Embracing Organics or some other show the other night. Some people were giving him shouts out. So I love it when you see that, like people that are across multiple shows, multiple different panels. They're just in all these different cannabis chats all across YouTube. They're clearly just like myself, looking to learn as much as they possibly can and entertain themselves in these tough times and focus on something that we all love and enjoy.
Intelligent grower. It's been around since I can remember. I mean, as soon as I got on social media, it's one of the first names I remember seeing in the chat.
He was the one actually that helped Sub fucking diagnose them fucking Russer mites. He didn't want to believe it, and fucking St. Bernard kept telling him, fucking, "You got mites, dude." I remember that episode. He was like, "I ain't got no fucking mites, motherfucker. So cool and shit." Sure, sitting a month down the road, he had to suck it up and give St. Bernard props. He's like, "Yeah, he was right. I'm sorry, brother." Yeah, I remember those days. I miss that motherfucker. I do. A lot of cool fucking nights, man. cool nights just like this, but it was we were all over there. Yeah.
I'm excited to flip this Doc Holidays to flower. It's about time. It's big enough. It's in its final pot. It's had a little bit of time to establish. I've trained it out as much as I want, and I'm just can't wait to see it in flower. It's like when you've never run it before, and I've only got one pheno of. I had a 10-pack and I popped 5 and got 1 female. So I'm just excited to see what she produces. I'll be pretty much happy with anything, and as long as I can keep it healthy, I'm looking forward to what it produces.
Yeah, the Doc Holidays, everybody that was a great strain. Everybody that ran it was completely happy with it. That's the Wizards of Weed, Amelia Lavender, and I forget his name for some reason. I always forget his name on Instagram though. I'm sure you guys all remember Amelia, right? No, okay, no. Am I the only weed nerd here?
Anyone who doesn't know, the cross on that is Huckleberry Cookies crossed with Hellfire OG.
Yeah, that's what made me want to run it right there was the Hellfires. Yeah.
I got it as a freebie actually. Before I was a tester, I ordered some of Sub seeds from, I think it was JBC Seed Bank, and they sent this 10-pack as a freebie. And then later he sent me another tester, but it was my first time I got around to it because like I didn't feel obligated because it was a freebie. It wasn't given to me like as a tester, so I didn't feel like I needed to grow it right away. So I'm finally getting around to it now, and really happy I did.
Anybody got any new beans that they popped else that they're pretty excited about? I just curious.
Yeah, I just did. I'm excited about some. It's called Honeymoon. It's High School Sweetheart by Wedding Cake from Gage Green Group. So it's kind of a boutique exclusive, I guess. But 20 packs, and I got pack 20 out of 20. So
that's awesome. High School Sweetheart had some cherry pie in it, and that's one of my favorites.
Yeah, it's all the pictures look fire as fuck too. So I actually snagged the lineup from Sunken Treasure seeds too. So I have the Mimosa by Max Stomper, I have the High Mac, which is High School Sweetheart by Max Stomper, and then the Max Stomper. So those will be the next ones going for the hunt.
We'll be running Max Stomper in the greenhouse. We've got a few packs of the Max Stomper, and also I had to pick up a few packs of Kineos genetics when they came on the show, and those actually arrived today. And Lady Greenstock, I didn't inform her. I just sort of surprised her with the seeds, and she's like, "Oh, that Berry Lights actually sounds really good. I want to grow that in the next grow." So we're popping that, and shortly after we flip the flower, because about a 60-day veg and roughly 60-day flower time. So I pop seeds right about the time that I'm starting flower, just to keep it interesting. I always have something new coming.
Yeah, it's fun. That's kind of what I'm doing, is like always hunting to try to replace something in a certain category, you know?
Absolutely.
I've got the Godiva I popped. I've got the GMO times Primal I popped. And I got another one I didn't pop. That I guess is kind of top secret. I popped, but I guess it's in top secret until later on. So I can't talk about that one. So,
Wedding Cake.
Shout out those breeders. Shout out those breeders. The American one and Med Grower one, Seedco. For any new listeners out there.
Thank you. I'm such a shitty host sometimes. I'm still learning, Jack. I'm still learning. Thanks to, I think it was Michelle F. Iverson, kind enough to remind me to start putting links to you guys' Instagram in the fucking description every night. So I started that habit too. God damn it. No, I forgot what I was going to fucking say. And Kineo's Lights is coming. That will be popped as soon as it gets here.
I've got an Animal Cookies crossed to Tropicana Cookies by Ripper Seeds. I've got a Slimer crossed to Fruity Pebbles OG from Sacred Cut. I've got Chocolate Diesel crossed to Platinum by In-House Genetics. Hanger 18 by them as well. I got a Blueberry going. That's all I can think of right now. There's a couple more in there somewhere. I know it.
If you find a winner in that Slimer across the Fruity Pebbles OG, I'm flying to Canada because that's two of my favorite ever.
So, Jack, I don't mean to cut you off, brother, but we're on the subject. I don't want to be here. Kennyos hit me up today and was like kind of taking me up on the offer of helping me Pinot hunt through some of these packs. And they were like, "Do you have any Chernobyl? If you have any of that, we'd like to make some."
I could pass those back to you.
Listen, no,
I actually have a pack. I have a pack of my own from earlier, so I actually got another original pack of TGA Subcool Chernobyl. So I'd love to share those. If they want Chernobyl, I could share them with them.
Well, that's up to you. I have some more beans. I have I think 3 more I was going to send them. But my thought being is, since you guys are both running down that road, you know, and I was going to send the rest of the beans off to him. Hopefully you guys could like work together if you guys do find a good peanut. You know what I mean? That's what I was getting.
You know, if they want to work with me, I'd be honored. I love and respect their breeding practices, and I really like the gear they put out. And I'm excited to try the Kineos lights. I'm going to breed that to my J1, and I already told them I'm going to send them some seeds because they've been so generous and kind and upfront, just really cool people from the get-go. So I figure if I'm going to do a little breeding project and I've got something cool and piney and different, I think they might appreciate to run it and play around with it too.
Yeah, kind of got over that. Me and Smiley talked about clones. How there was a time where I hoarded clones like a bitch. I wouldn't let my fire slip out. And by the way, I forgot. I'll bring out some sample Beautiful Loser for somebody who has. But now I'm kind of more like Kevin Jordy about that shit. I'm kind of believing that good shit should be passed and stored. You know what I mean? Library all you want for yourself, but you should be passing that shit around for long-term storage because you can't keep it all. And ultimately, you're gonna pull some shit out. You pass it to somebody, then you may be able to get it back. So at a later date.
Yeah, I think if you really love it, you got to pass it as far and as wide as possible. Give it to like 20 people because, not all of them are going to keep it well. So the more people you give it to, the better chance you get it back in good shape. And unless you're like, in your situation where you kind of got screwed over by the provisioning center and they sort of went back on how they'd previously been doing things. And it was a little bit of a underhanded altercation, I think, that went down with them. But if you're just growing it for your own head stash and stuff like that, it's the best thing to do is share it with all your friends, at least, because then you can get it back. If they fall in love with it, they might appreciate what you appreciate about it.
I feel like we lost everybody, Jack. There's like Boom looks cashed in a chair. Eagle disappeared. Charlie's gone. I'm sitting here lost reading into something on my phone. It's funny.
It might be about that time.
I was thinking that. I'm about ready to check out anyway.
Well, what I did was I stepped off the camera to somebody asked earlier what Beautiful Loser looked like. Oh god, it smells so good. I stepped off camera and I went to fucking try and grab a jar of it, and then I thought, well, in my case I've got some O's weighed out. I grabbed an O because jars are too much work to get. So, oh fuck. I do this one. No, I'm dropping shit in here.
Yeah, guys, I put a heater on.
There's some Beautiful Loser. They look better in front of camera. gotta try something. Make fun of you, Smiley. We just pulled some buds out. Look, this house came out just like that. Oh, fucking back up this thing. Look, came out and fucking one nice little stuck brick.
There you
Think
go.
that bud's a little sticky? Smells so good
Just a
too.
little bit. I love that Smiley calls everyone out for not being present, and then immediately like everyone's back in cam and like upright and like focused, spread-eyed and bushy-tailed.
I mean, I've been following along the whole time. I've just been keeping quiet just because I hate when I feel like sometimes I feel like I keep cutting people off and it's that delay of the internet. So a lot of times I try to stay quiet.
You know, that's why I don't like usually do too many people at once because of that delay there. And then somebody feels like, just like you said, I'm cutting somebody off, and then they get intimidated and don't want to talk because of that reason. That's why I try to stay in the lower number.
Those are fucking fantastic, Eagle.
Those are some donkeys.
That fucking beautiful loser just fucking, threw out big old fucking nugs, man. I mean, a lot of them I had to cut down. These are just, they're still all stuck together. I'm trying to break these apart from being weighed up. Nice dense nugs. It really resembles the bud structure. I think favors the Challenger deep, that kind of pine coney, you know what I mean? Shape to it. But the smell is definitely the C99 Durban side. It's kind of that grapefruit, kind of cheese Danish. All right, guys, I didn't mean to like take off talking about my shit. Somebody did ask. I didn't just like break it out.
Yeah, the C99 I had was like a funky orange. It was like, I don't know, like stinky foot and orange. It was gross. It was great smoke, but wasn't exactly the flavor profile I was looking for.
Smells even better after I weighed this up probably about 3 weeks ago. It's all in the travel case, all ready to go. 15. If I could ever fucking leave the house, man. If I could ever fucking leave the house, I'll be all right. Shit. For real.
People are like grapefruit cheese, but like, yes, sometimes you get some wicked combinations, and that's for you, Charlie's Farm. Wicked combinations of smells.
Yeah, my buddy just pulled down a Dairy Queen, and he's like, it's like a cheesy cherry something else. And I took one smell of it, and I was like, yeah, it's like a cheesy cherry baby vomit. And he was like, oh, so that's exactly what it smelled like. It was like a baby pukey thing to it, which, you know, it sounds super gross, but until you put the label on it, it was just a smell that you couldn't identify. But it was
That's an ester. The baby vomit is one of the esters, or just vomit in general is a ester that's produced by cannabis.
I just trip about how many different flavor profiles there are now. Like when you hear blue cheese, like no bullshit, it smells like fucking blue cheese. It's crazy.
I love the cheese flavors. I've got an Exodus cheese in the box. I should fucking probably pop someday.
So boom, that smell. I think it was boom. We were talking about the baby vomit. It's butanoic acid. It's a ester that is found in cannabis for sure. It's like been verified and everything by scientific like lab tests. Which people would be like, that doesn't sound appealing, but sometimes the smoke that comes along with it's like super potent, and it just gives you that right effect. And you're like, it smells gross, and like you wouldn't think you liked it, but it just hits just right.
Yeah, exactly right. It's one of those weird things. Like you tell people gas, and they're like, people want gas. And I was like, gas is like 50% of the market. Half the people want gas. You know, the other half of the people want fruit, and of the people that want fruit, there's like 6 different teams. You got, that 50%. You got your team cherry, your team orange, your team banana. 50%.
Strawberry, blueberry.
Yeah, exactly. Strawberry, blueberry, cookies, other stuff, right? Yeah,
The flavor variety, I agree with both you and Sargent. It's amazing now. I love the variety, and it's actually like true to the names. Like it tastes like what it says. Like it says like pineapple upside down cake. It smelled like pineapple and vanilla, and like I passed on that clone because I was like, it's never gonna smell like that. And it fucking blew me away when I had the flower. I was like, holy shit, I should have gotten that cut, man. It was like cheap. It was like 10 or 15 bucks, and I would have had a fucking beautiful cut. And it's still going around, so I might grab it if I see it again because goddamn, it delivered the exact flavor that it was described as.
I want to shout out Hoda Herb from the other night. What the fuck is a cookies? It's like, what the fuck is a cookies?
That was like one of the most epic moments ever. And he was so genuine. Like he wasn't trying to like meme or like be fucking funny. Like he's just like, he came back and he's like, why is this shit so popular? I think it was so real.
That's so funny.
I was
Funny, but I'll tell you that pineapple upside down cake, I just wanted to throw this out there before I forgot. Just to let you know, that's a 56-dayer. So that thing produces very quick and it's a good yielder. Just throwing that out there.
There's a reason they run it commercially. I actually had I've had about 100 eighths given to me for free to sample and write a review of from the guy I'm working with because he wanted to see like what's my palate like and how much he agrees or disagrees with on certain varieties that he'd also try. And out of the 100 eighths I was given, probably like 5 or 6 I'd actually smoked twice. Like again, like if given again for free, I'd say no to 95 of them. But one of those 5 was that pineapple upside down cake. I want to shout out the company. If you're ever in California, try West Coast Trading Company because that's the producer who put out that pineapple upside down cake. And goddamn, it was fire. And it came out of a legal dispensary, not like one of the Prop 215 like trap houses that are getting raided left and right. And you can get arrested for going into. No disrespect. I mean, I used to work in one of those, but they always got raided when either, fortunately I was never there. And like, I don't want people to think I'm some sort of fucking narc. It wasn't like that. Those things just get shut down left and right. Unfortunately, like I would have wanted to keep working that job. It just sucked to show up for work one day and see a thing posted on the door saying that this is shut down. So that's part of the industry right now.
Application. What a wonderful job application. Well, son, I think you might be good for this job, but I'm afraid you're going to have to go home with this 100 eighths. Smoke them down and give me a report before we can take this fucking any further.
It was like 16 at a time. We'd meet a few times, like a week. He'd give me 16, and then a week from then we'd get another 8 or another 16, and just meet up and talk about it. And I'd write up some reports and text it back to him, and because we're trying to produce a product for that market, so it's like our competition. So we want to see what they're doing well, what they're not doing well, and try and improve upon it.
That's fucking awesome, Jack. Seriously, I really am like jealous, man. I wish I had a job like that where I could literally just fucking be a connoisseur and just try different bud because I do it as my passion and my hobby. But if I could just make it my overall job, like to be a fucking blogger and just try different cannabis strains, like that would be like fucking the shit.
I mean, I think if you just keep on growing and getting better at knowing the plant, like I'm not saying that you don't have a good enough knowledge. You have a great knowledge already, but every one of us is getting better every day. And you just keep trying and keep plugging away. You'll find your spot. It's a growing industry. It's only getting bigger and bigger. It's only getting more and more legal. So just believe in yourself and your path and just know that like you're on the right path. Like we talked about earlier in the show, it went from being like you go to jail for like 20 years for 2 joints to like, okay, now they're giving us legality for medical reasons to like, okay, now you're getting recreational and now we're essential. We're fucking deemed essential, like food. Cannabis is it's having its heyday right now. Like we're on the rise. So dedicating time to this field and bettering yourself and getting more knowledge, and like you on the technology side, that stuff scales. What you're doing is like you can scale that up easier than a lot of other people would be able to. Automated feeding and things like that. Like I think just believe in what you're doing, and if you really honestly know you can put out a good quality crop with your system, I just say keep on pushing, man. I think you're going to find your space, whether it's like a small license that you're running all of it yourself, or if you get hired onto a team because you've demonstrated that you're competent. And it's crazy, but fucking Instagram can act as your resume. If you bump into the right person, show them the photos, and if you have a sample on you, or if you can get a sample to them, that can get you a lot further than a lot of people would think.
You know what? I totally agree with you, because at the end of the day, like that's even why I have my backup account, because I don't even want to throw the juju out there, but that's the main reason I started my IG account. It was a good way to document, and then it's also like your grower resume. You know, I don't post just to show off or anything like that, but it's just more like sometimes I'm just proud of what I did. You know, you put a lot of hard work into what you're doing, you're building something, and it's not something that you just bought turnkey. And you take a lot of time and effort and thought and design and how you're going to put something out. And you're damn right I want to post it, but at the same time, it is my resume, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people out there that'll say something or do something. And I don't know. The one thing I can't stand are like bullshitters. Like, oh yeah, you know, I pulled this, this, and this, and this. And like, I don't know, some things are just far fetched. But when you see an actual picture, you're like, oh yeah, like Eagle busted out that big old fucking donkey dicks right now. Clearly he grows big old dicks, you know, like I don't know. I guess like I just I think IG is important, even if you're small grower or big grower. And then not only that, the cool thing is if you ever look at your IG, like I was looking at mine the other day of when I first started posting and to what I've come to now, it's fucking crazy. Cause I was like a little tent grower, man. And then now I got a full room and it just keeps going more. It's more of an obsession than anything.
The beautiful thing is you can reinvest money that you would have been spending.
You know what's weird, Jack, about that thing earlier? I was just
What's
looking through the YouTube creators there, and well, I was looking at the two different show titles, which I realized yesterday, early on when Hoto Herb was on, that I completely I went to start the show like three different fucking times, and instead of hitting backspace, I hit enter and started the show like three different fucking times. And when I took off with the show with him, it ended up taking off with one of the latter fucking fucked up titles. Not the right title I had when I started the show. It chose to take off from YouTube from one of the fuck ups. What I think is funny about, what coincidental is that I'm looking through creators right now, and we got shut down earlier, right? Shut down, had to restart. Well, I restarted that meeting and I just clicked live on YouTube the second time. I didn't bother fucking putting in the title. I thought I'd just hurry up and get it back on the air, and I'll go back and fix the title. And then that's what I was looking back, and so the first half of the show is already labeled Eagle Zoom meeting, and the second half is the original title of the show, which is fucked up, by the way. Fucking is misspelled. I can't fix that until after the show, but that's what so how the fuck did that happen? The second title is now published on YouTube as the first episode, and the first title that we took off at 11:30 with is what we're running under live now.
No idea. Hey man, I gotta get going to bed though. I'm gonna cut out here in a minute.
Peace
Sorry.
out, Smiley.
What if 5 o'clock in the morning? What an asshole!
know, right?
Jeez, damn, Smiley.
You keep pushing it further every time. It's like 420. It's almost 4.
There's no obligation here.
that.
Just because we're going doesn't mean you guys have to stay along. Jeez, that's my whole problem. That's how the show keeps going right there. It isn't
I feel like-
necessarily us. There's still fucking 38 people watching. You know what I mean? I feel like the fucking bad guy that got 38 people. Fuck this. I've had enough. Everybody's gotta go home. Sorry.
We're the worst at saying goodbye, man. It's the same way with like all my buddies that I smoke with. Like whenever it comes to saying goodbye, we fucking stand at the door talking for another 20, 30, 40, however many minutes, and then we start getting called by the wives or whoever, and hey, you're supposed to be here. It's like, oh fuck, I really gotta go now.
Yeah, the wife's mad. I got to go now. Bye, guys.
Yep, just like Jack just said, realistically, it shows just how much we really enjoy each other's company. So.
That's true.
With that said, thank you guys for your time. I'm gonna call it a night. I love you all. This is at jackgreenstalk. You can find me at the places, Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for coming.
Yeah, you too,
Thank you, Jack. Who's next?
I'm Smiley's _ garden. You can find me on Instagram or Frugal Force or the fucking Talking Shit with Eagle show. I love hanging out. Appreciate you guys in chat. Peace out.
Peace, Smiley. Always a pleasure.
Later, Smiley.
Love you, man.
You guys better be throwing that. You can find me on fucking Talking Shit with Eagle. God damn it, and that credit. Again, who's next?
This is Sergeant Pepper 420. You can find me on Talking Shit with Eagle, or you can find me on IG as Sergeant _Pepper _420. I'm going to be signing out myself though, because my kid will probably be waking up soon, and I need to make sure I'm ready. But it's always fun. Sorry for my late entrance. But much love for you, Eagle. And thanks for everybody in chat. Always fun dropping in, and thanks for the support. And I'll see you guys next time.
Oh yeah, thank you, brother.
I'll go next. Well, right down the list. Thanks everybody who's in chat all night and now. I can't thank you enough. Eagle, you're the man. Talking shit with Eagle is pissa. That's all I can say. It makes my night, and I look forward to it. Even if I can't be in chat every night, I always try and you say hi. I look forward to it. Everybody have a great night. Much love. Eagle, I love you, man. You're awesome. Keeping it going. Peace, guys.
Love you too, brother. Have a great day. Mr.
Boom Farms. You can find me on Instagram at boom_farms. You can also find me here every night in chat. Sometimes I'm on the panel. Have a good one, Eagle. Appreciate it. Always a good time.
Boom. I'm glad you were able to make it tonight. I understand everybody's got to work and you got to have a job, but that don't mean I got to hate it. You're welcome back anytime, brother. Thank you. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this Saturday night's episode of fucking Talking Shit with Eagle. This Q&A episode was brought to you by Miss Dz Nugz. Her suggestion tonight to just kind of hang and answer some questions. I hope you guys had fun. I guess I should look to see who the heck will be here tomorrow. Tommy Trichomes will be here tomorrow, telling us about his garden and his cannabis experience. I hope you guys had a good time. This is the show. The name of the show is fucking Talking Shit with Eagle, but this is quickly, like I said at the beginning of the show. Quite frankly, my time of day, my favorite time of day. Hanging out with you guys is so cool. That's all I can say. Let's do those shout outs. Robert Hazelton, 420, Michelle F. Iverson. I probably fucked that up, and I am so sorry if I do. Ellie. John Boyd, thank you so much for tuning in. Spiky Pilot, Majestic Marks. Kind of like that name for some reason. Thank you very much. JD, Bill Sid, The Humble Grower 420. Boom. Thank you so much. St. Bernard's observation booth. I'm honored, brother, having you pop in. I'm seriously honored to have you here. I hope you make it a staple. Start tuning in a little bit more. Trey Valone, bad mother, you. I appreciate you coming in every night. Enjoy the banner of your chat. Makes me smile. DLP2372. Thank you. You're an every nighter. You know, Jack's Greenstock. I appreciate you. You know, for jumping in. All the knowledge you're spreading around, not just on this show, but everywhere, and not just now. Miss Lady Jack's Greenstock, jumping in, helping spreading that knowledge too, making a family thing. How cool is that? Who else can we say goodnight to? Of course, Smiley's Gardens. I appreciate him and all the time he helps out with the show. Chris Mertz. I appreciate you, Ganja Grower. You don't know? Now you know. Appreciate you. You were a great guest too. You know, I'm glad you came on. I hope one of these nights you can make some time to jump in on one of these after sessions. You know, don't be shy, guy. You can jump in. Who else am I forgetting here? You know, you guys blow up this chat so much, I can only go so far back. And, well, since the show kind of fucked me starting over, I can't even go all the way back to thank everybody tonight. But no, I appreciate you guys. Miss Dz Nugz, thank you for tuning in. My daughter Alexis, don't forget her. She's a cool gal. Look her up on IG. I believe that's her IG name now. Mr. Green Pots, thank you so much. Diamond Press Co. I appreciate you popping in and checking us out every last few nights, last week too. Maybe could be wrong, could be further back. UK SIF 420. Thank you, sir. I hope you have a great night, great day. So many great people anymore. I mean, it is building night after night, and I couldn't be any more grateful to every one of you. Modern Genetics, thank you very much for coming back. Spiky Pilot, if I haven't missed you, if I've said your name, thank you very much. Hans Warrior, Charlie, right. Thank you very much for tuning in. Alex Boy Sheep, thank you very much for tuning in. Very much. Appreciate you. Oh man, going to get close to as far back as I can go. I'm going to go back as far as I can. Milo, thank you very much. I really do wish I could just, Bruce Lee, thank you very much. Just have chat. Because you guys are really the stars. That's where the credit needs to be. Just spinning right by the camera at the end of the fucking show. Not that I don't like shouting you guys out, I really do. But there's just getting to be so many of you guys. It'd just be so much easier. Humble Grower 420 Organic for Life. That's the new name. Thank you very much for popping in. Very appreciated. Let's see. Yeah. Oh, I'm forgetting. Oh, that's as far back as I can go. First name on the list. Diamond Press Co. is first one on this far back as I can go. You said I sleep from 24 to 420. 12 to 420. Anywho, thank you guys very much. Thank you for everybody that participated in the show. Smiley, Boom, Sergeant Pepper, Charley's Farm, which is Farmer Willie. Everybody needs to know that. I don't think I forgot anybody. Red Setter Farms and Michigan Bros Grove Show crew. Miss C, I believe I've seen her. Spartan Grove, Red. Thank you guys all for popping in tonight. Appreciate that. And I know there's so many. I feel like an asshole for not including everybody. But you guys know the drill. You know, like the show, the least you could do is do something nice for somebody. Random acts of kindness do change lives. I'm sure one of these nights. Smoke and Grow Frazier, what's up? one of these nights, I will probably venture down one of those rabbit holes, kind of tell you some of these stories, how I know random acts of kindness do change lives. There's a lot of experience there. A lot of experience. Yeah. Have a great night. Great tomorrow. Trinity Farms. I just seen that name. Aldridge 25. And yeah, thank you, Aldridge 25, for pointing that out. Happy Mother's Day to all you mothers that are watching and will watch tomorrow. Have a great day. I think I got it. Peace. Have a great day. Thank you.